You know, you can draw a lot of parallels between Starscream's rise to power in IDW and Macbeth. Both stories begin at the end of a war. We also have these two friends who I'm sure will definitely be best friends forever, receiving a prophecy about how they are the prophesized chosen leaders of their respective nations. Also, I'm sure the people telling them this prophecy aren't full of bullshit whatsoever. These respective characters are going to manifest their destiny so hard they have to murder somebody. The people they initially murder are also overly super nice to them, and just generally really chill people. Something else that King Duncan and Metalhawk have in common is they're like the main person that the main character needs to kill to become leader. There's going to be other people in the line of succession, so to speak, but these two are like the main thing standing in their way. So this first murder is not going to be their best. In fact, it's going to be pretty obvious that they did it. But, you know, because the plot has to happen, everybody in the story is just going to glaze over how sus Macbeth and Starscream are. So that's their first political enemy down. Now they gotta murder another one. In this case, both Starscream and Macbeth are a little less involved. In fact, Starscream actually wasn't the one who killed Bumblebee. In Macbeth's case, he hired some assassins. But the analogy still works, okay? Trust me, I know exactly what I'm talking about. So their other political opponent dies and then proceeds to come back and harass them as a ghost. This is also the part of the story where Macbeth and Starscream descend into depravity and start to look insane for the rest of the story. They're also gonna go get another prophecy from an entirely different character that I'm sure is also not full of bullshit, telling them how they're doomed. So now that Macbeth and Starscream are, like, actually in charge, their citizens don't really like them that much, and this is the part of the video where we all see how far I can stretch this analogy, so buckle in. So, they are so disliked, these rulers, that people are starting to kind of riot. More so in Starscream's case, but both rulers are worried that they're going to be dethroned and killed. So they're going to do some more murder to try and get ahead of the riots. So in Macbeth's case, he's going to go murder Macduff's whole family. In Starscream's case, he's going to go murder Swindle. Killing Swindle really pisses off this character named Onslaught, so he's kind of the Macduff in this case. He also incites, like, further riots. But in both cases, it backfires horribly, and it causes a bunch of people to try and uprise against the rulers. By the end of the story, the person who ends up in charge after Macbeth and after Starscream is people who, while technically are in charge legitimately, are not the people who you would expect. Starscream and Macbeth also end up dead at the end of their respective stories, so that's another thing. So guys, what's the lesson? What's the moral of the story we can take and apply to everyday life? Is it that murder is bad, and that if you're trying to manifest your destiny by murdering literally everybody closest to you, it's not going to work out good for you in the end? Is it that maybe you shouldn't listen to weirdos in the woods when they tell you a very clearly bullshit prophecy? Or maybe there is no lesson. Maybe we should all go touch some grass. Anyway, I hope you learned something today. Thank you for watching.